Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is another video. This is called WADS Explains 8.2.1. Today we're talking about kinetic energy. Kinetic energy is the energy of movement. We've already talked about this idea. When we moved the popcorn kernels around in the last chapter, we shook if we barely move the particles, that would be a solid. If they move a medium amount, that would be liquid. If they move around a lot, they were a gas. The different popcorn represented objects in different states of matter. Well, these different states of matter had not only spacing, but they had movement. So I want you to remember, as heat energy goes up, the amount of kinetic energy goes up. Temperature and kinetic energy are the same thing. When the temperature went up, the kinetic energy goes up. So on these positive sloped lines, we're going to have an increase of temperature. We're also going to have an increase of kinetic energy. Kinetic energy is movement. So right now, my cursor has a big or a large amount of kinetic energy. And right now, this has a lower amount of kinetic energy. So what is kinetic energy, you ask? Kinetic energy means movement. I've told you guys that I teach driver's ed. In driver's ed, you learn about stopping behind a sign. I tell my driver's ed kids that I need the car to come to a complete stop. We can't just kind of roll. The reason why this person would fail their driver's test is they get a rolling stop. If they do that 3 times, it's an automatic fail. This person never comes to a complete stop, and I can tell that because the kinetic energy never goes to zero. In order to get full points, the kinetic energy would need to come to zero or get to a complete stop, as is said here. There are 2 things that we can change about kinetic energy. They are mass and velocity. Mass is how big they are. Think about Mr. Wadsworth is a lot bigger than a 3rd grader. Think about an NFL ball player is a lot bigger than Mr. Wadsworth. So mass is the size. Velocity is the speed. I want you to think that if I'm sprinting and running as fast as I can, I'm going to have more kinetic energy than if I'm just jogging or walking. So energy, this is a description of our equation. Energy is equal to 1/2 the mass times the velocity squared. This problem, we're not going to calculate too much with it, but if you remember, as the mass goes up, the energy would have to go up. If the velocity goes up, the energy goes up a lot. That's what this squared means. Okay, potential and kinetic energy. So right here, this car versus this car, which one looks like it could do more damage? Well, you probably are thinking, well, this one is going a lot faster. And you're correct. The faster the object or the greater velocity, you're going to have a greater amount of kinetic energy. This old bug, Herbie can't go as fast. Herbie can't go as fast as this race car. It's still a big car. It could still run over your foot. That would hurt. But this is going to have the most amount of kinetic energy because it's got the greatest amount of speed. Okay. If I take this ball and I drop it or I throw it, this one is going to hurt worse. Well, why? It hurts worse because it has a greater amount of mass. So we're going to say as the amount of mass or the size of the object goes up, the amount of kinetic energy goes up. There are different types of kinetic energy. I'm not talking about that too much in this video. Why does it hurt so bad? So I've got this baseball player. He's about to get hit by this baseball. Why would it hurt worse if it's pitched or thrown at you really fast? Well, the speed goes up. If the speed goes up, then we're going to have a lot greater amount of energy. Next, we're going to go through and we're going to talk about Ray Lewis. Why would Ray Lewis, the football player, be able to do more damage than this child? Well, Ray Lewis is a lot bigger. He's a lot faster. And going back to our equation, if you're a lot bigger and you're a lot faster, you're going to have a lot more energy. And as we remember, energy is the ability to do work. So if I have more mass and I have more speed, more energy, that's why it's going to hurt worse to play against Ray Lewis than it is against this child. I hope this helps. Have a great day. Thank you so much.